Hello again. We are Chris Lee and Chase Robinson of Southeastern 16 here to preview Kentucky's road trip to Knoxville, Tennessee to face the Vols. Kentucky had just a kind of a disastrous loss to Auburn at home last week. Jarquez Hunter ran all over, through and around the Wildcats. Tennessee rested after a big week with Alabama the week before, which the Vols beat the Crimson Tide in Knoxville. You can catch this game 6:45 Central on the SEC Network. Tennessee is a 16-point favorite, according to our friends at BetOnline, as of Monday morning. Over under at 45, I think, or 46, which makes for an implied final score of Tennessee 31, Kentucky 15. My computer model's got Tennessee, I think, by 18. Chase, big game for the Vols as they continue their chase towards the college football playoff.
Yeah, we know that win over Alabama was big, but it was a really physical game, very emotional game. So I feel like the bye week for Tennessee came at a good time after that big emotional win, and they've been able to now kind of reset their focus to try to finish out this season strong. And Kentucky will be the first team they get to face, and we'll dive into this matchup more. But I feel like Tennessee's in a good spot. They have been inconsistent offensively at times, but, I thought they looked good against Alabama. And again, they've had a chance to reset a little bit.
All right, let's pull up the matchup starting when Kentucky's got the ball. And boy, this is ugly. The Vols, I think, number 2 or 3 in the country in terms of scoring defense, really outstanding against the rush. And per rushing play, that takes sacks out of it and puts them on the passing plays. The Vols force turnovers. Now, they don't get as many sacks as we would have thought with the names James Pierce Jr. and those guys up front. And Kentucky's sack rate a little less than I would have thought too. But the Cats have had trouble protecting the passer at times. Kentucky's offense has just been miserable. You saw Gavin Wimsatt the second half of that game. I don't know if they would go with him or Vandagriff. And Tennessee's defense is about as tough a nut to crack as you'll find in the country. I think if you're Kentucky, you just hope you can string together a couple of drives of short fields and maybe be very efficient in the red zone, because otherwise I don't see basically I see Tennessee having its way with the Cats when they've got the ball. They just cannot figure it out offensively. They can't get the ball to Key and Brown on all those guys like we thought they would. And this just looks like a very lopsided matchup on this side of the ball based on what we've seen. But again, Kentucky's got talent if they ever get it together.
Yeah, you're right. And I feel like we saw from Tennessee defensively one of the best performances against Alabama. So they've got that confidence coming off that game. And yeah, we'll see if Kentucky can get anything going, but they have just struggled and to get anything going offensively. And Tennessee's not going to be a team to just give you plays. And so I think that puts Kentucky at a disadvantage in this game offensively, is because Tennessee's defense is they're pretty tight, and they're not going to give you much. And so Kentucky is going to have to really come in with a different game plan, I feel like, offensively to be able to move the ball in Tennessee.
I think the quarterback situation will be interested. Vandagriff got benched for ineffectiveness. Wimsatt is the more mobile guy. Passing, it was kind of a disaster for him there too. I don't know if you maybe try something different and maybe go more, if you got option in the playbook or something like that, just a little different look than Tennessee's prepared for. But at this point, if I'm Kentucky, I'm just throwing everything against the wall to see what works, because not much has so far, at least not recently.
You're right. I mean, now's a good time to change things up. I think the way your season's going, you got to find something to get you some positive momentum, and they don't have that right now, especially coming off that loss to Auburn. And so, while they do have a good win against Ole Miss and they competed with Georgia, they have just not been able to do anything. So, change some things up. Heading into this game, anything can happen, but they're going to have to make some tweaks, make some changes offensively if they want to be successful.
Yeah, let's flip to the other side of the matchup. And by the way, Wimsatt at Rutgers last year ran for 497 yards and 11 scores. I think Tennessee's offense versus Kentucky's defense is the more interesting side of the matchup, Chase. I'll go ahead and have you pull that up. But first, a reminder, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything sports betting. Every stat, matchup breakdown, even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games, with the largest catalog of odds on everything from football, MLB playoffs, NHL, NBA to political props. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of over 150 slots games. Head to the website today, get in on all the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here. Now, I think this is potentially a fascinating side of the matchup. Now, a lot of it depends on, does Kentucky show up? I mean, they got trucked by Jarquez Hunter last week. Run defense had been really strong for the Cats. I don't know what happened, if there was lack of effort, if the team is starting to just throw the towel in or not. Meanwhile, you got Tennessee, got offensive issues of its own. 3 straight scoreless first halves for the Vols, who have come back in the second half, I think, as the defense just wears teams down and played pretty well. Big wins over Alabama and Florida, where Tennessee got stronger as the game went on. I'm going to pull up another stat, Chase, that I'm going to bring up. But first, let's get your thoughts on this side of the matchup.
Yeah, I think we've seen such good things from Kentucky's defense earlier. Like, can they challenge Tennessee offensively? Yes, they can, because we know they have the potential to do that. But, what I feel like could offset it here is Dylan Sampson breaking loose. I mean,
Yeah,
we saw what Jarquez Hunter was able to do against Kentucky, but Dylan Sampson's such a strong runner. He's been a huge part of this Tennessee team this year, and if he's able to break loose on this Kentucky defense, then Tennessee will be able to have a great day. But if Kentucky can put pressure on Nico and kind of make him uncomfortable, which again we've seen Kentucky do to really good quarterbacks, then that could change the game. But again, if Sampson has running lanes, then it could be a good day for Tennessee.
well, I think it's a very narrow path to victory for Kentucky. I think, and it's got to involve probably Tennessee giving Kentucky some help with turnovers and short fields. But the one thing that's been interesting about Kentucky, the defense for the most part has stayed off the field. 54 snaps on average. That is the best number in the league. I know that they missed about half of the Southern Miss game because it got canceled with lightning. So that affects the number somewhat just by the fact they didn't play part of the game. Tennessee's offense on the field, an average of 74 snaps. That is number 1 in the league. If Kentucky can figure something out to get Kentucky or Tennessee in just in 3 and outs like we've seen it go at times, I think that's the shot to victory, is what happens on this side of the ball if there's an upset. And look, the reason we're discussing it, the line is 16 points. There's no value in us telling you what you already know, that Tennessee is decidedly a favorite to win. If you're looking for an interesting angle, I think it comes on this side of the ball.
I think so too, and you're right. This is where Kentucky could make some noise on defense. That's what they've done all season long. That's how they've won the games they have. Is because they've had a good defense, and we'll see if they come to play Saturday. This is a big test for them, but still, we've seen Kentucky stop some really good offenses this year and force them in trouble and make them have to think quick. And I think they can do that against Tennessee. We just haven't seen that as of late from Kentucky.
Yeah, all right, let's get to picks and why. Chase, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm going to take Tennessee in this one. Look, Kentucky just hasn't played great as of late. Could that change? It certainly could, but I think Tennessee can just score more points than Kentucky with the offensive struggles the Wildcats are having.
Yeah, I just don't trust Kentucky's offense. The way the defense gave up that many yards to Hunter, that was so uncharacteristic. It makes me wonder if there's a buy-in issue right now. Kentucky traditionally has not done very well in Tennessee. The last time it won was the 2020 season, where things were in complete disarray for the Vols. They got Josh Heupel after the season. We know how that's gone. But Kentucky just has not traditionally played well in Knoxville. Last time they went there was 44 to 6 in Tennessee's favor. I just think all the things on the table in terms of what we know about what Tennessee's got to play for, and now Kentucky, which just did absolutely nothing to translate an upset of Ole Miss into anything positive going forward. I think you've got to favor the Vols in this one, and possibly by a lot of points. Either way, we will be here to talk about it afterwards. We live stream every Saturday night, usually Chase and I, but the crew can differ. Either way, we will be here. So subscribe to the channel. That's free. Enable your notifications. That lets you know when we're going live. And check out other content. We're doing basketball and baseball year-round. If you're interested in advertising, caroline.smith at southeastern14.com. We reach millions a year. For Chase Robinson, I'm Chris Lee. You're watching Southeastern 16, presented by Bet Online.